Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Real Positive Girl podcast. My name is Sabrina. Happy Tuesday to you all, my friends. I hope that you're having a fantastic day and that, that everything is going well. Today, I feel like it's a good day. I feel like it can be a good day. I don't know why I'm struggling to talk about a Tuesday. I think it's because, we're smack dab in the middle of summer. But it doesn't feel like summer because I don't feel like I've necessarily done summery type things, and I know I'm not the only person in this boat, and I'm not complaining at all whatsoever. It's just been different, and it's kind of weird and awkward that we're almost to August, which is usually the time where we start ramping up for fall sports like football, and then usually basketball like a month or two later, when in reality basketball is starting back up in like about 10 days. So everything is just weird. It's just weird. But regardless, I hope that your Tuesday is going really well. Whether you're just starting your day, you're in the middle, or you're towards the end, I hope that it is a fantastic day. If you're having a tough day or a rough day, I encourage you to do the 5-minute reset, which is taking at least 5 minutes to be by yourself alone and just kind of reboot, come back to baseline, shake everything off, release any stress or pressure that's like hanging over your shoulders that's causing you to have that type of burden, and just release it and have a breather for a moment. Also, I encourage you to make a list of at least 4 things that you are grateful for, and those can be big things, small things, little things. You can be grateful that you were able to take a walk with your dog tonight, which is something I did and I really loved. You can be grateful that you were able to go out to dinner with friends. You can be grateful that you finally found a way to get rid of pesky sugar ants in your home. Oh my goodness. That is not such a problem this year for us. However, we are having a problem with carpenter ants this year. And so I'm looking forward to being grateful for being able to get rid of them. But regardless, it doesn't matter what it is. It can be big, small, or middle. Like I said, just make sure that your gratitude list is at least 4 things. And then in addition to that, if you have the time, maybe problem solve whatever is causing you trouble, whatever is stressing you out, whatever is trying to push you over the edge. But in all, before you leave your 5-minute reset time, make sure that you are able to leave with a mindset that is at least neutral, if not positive, about the rest of the day, because you want to make sure that you're able to enjoy the rest of the day. And maybe you won't enjoy it to the fullest, but you'll enjoy it enough that you're grateful for it, that you're thankful for it, and that you already made a gratitude list, so you know that there are still things to be happy about, to be excited about, to like quote unquote live for, be grateful for. And I feel like when you're down in the dumps, gratitude is the number one thing that can immediately change your mindset. So be able to walk away feeling at least neutral, if not positive, about the rest of your day, and then know that tomorrow can be a better day. But like I always say, I'm hoping that you actually are having a fantastic day. Just a reminder that this week on the podcast, we are talking about assertiveness. And today, Tuesday, I have entitled this episode, Quiz, Are You Currently Assertive? And basically, I'm just going to go through some questions for you to ask yourself to determine whether you are assertive or not. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Today I want to talk about how to tell if you are currently being assertive or not. I want to go through a series of questions to ask yourself and briefly talk about why or why not that relates to being assertive. And I think it'll be fun. And I'm not going to drag this out by any means, because later in the week I am going to go more into detail about how to become more assertive and more details on that in the comparison of being aggressive versus assertive versus passive. So if you feel like there's some information that's left out, just hang tight for the rest of the week, because those episodes will go into depth about those things. But so the first question to ask yourself is, are you able to say no without feeling guilty or anxious? Part of being assertive is being able to create and abide by your personal boundaries, no matter how intense or aggressive the situation gets. You want to have the strength to say no when you want to and not get swept up into feeling like you need to do whatever is asked of you, even when you don't want to. So it's really important. If you are new here, you will not know that I spent a whole week talking about personal boundaries. And if you would like to learn more about personal boundaries, which I personally feel everyone should understand what that means, how to create your own and abide by those things, and why they are super duper important. So I would encourage you to go back into the episodes and listen to those episodes. But creating boundaries for yourself is critical to having thriving, well-working relationships in your life, but also to have the strength to draw the line in the sand and be able to communicate with people what you are willing to do and not to do. And so being able to say no to things that you don't want to do or you don't feel comfortable doing, and not just getting, like I said, swept up in saying yes to everything and feeling the pressure and not wanting to make anyone upset or anything. You got to have the strength to say no. So again, ask yourself if you are able to say no without feeling guilty. That's the thing, because like you can say no, but then spend the whole day and night and however many days afterwards feeling guilty for saying no, just really replaying it in your mind, building up this super list of being super stressed about it, and then like backtracking even further by trying to apologize or go out of your way to quote unquote make it up to that person or whomever it is, when in reality deep in your heart you didn't want to do it and you said no, and you got to stick to that and not feel guilty about it and know that you're not being selfish, you're just doing what is best for you. Next question. Are you able to express strong feelings like anger, frustration, or disappointment? Being able to assert how you feel and share those feelings with the people that need to know is super, super important. If someone hurts you, disrespects you, or any other offense, you need to have the strength to tell them how that made you feel and know that's allowed. It's absolutely allowed. Do not think that you are not allowed to do that. And I want to reaffirm the fact that even if people come at you aggressive or intimidating or anything like that, you still have the right to share with them if they have made you or caused you to get angry, or they did something that caused you frustration or disappointment, or however you're feeling. You have the right to share your feelings with what someone contributed to you. And I am definitely under the belief system that people aren't making you angry or making you frustrated. Like I'm sure there are times, few and far between, when people are doing that on purpose, but in general, people are just being the way that they're being, and you are choosing to be those things. However, if you choose to be those things because of what they're doing and it just feels malicious and rude and they're attacking you on purpose, you still have the right to tell them how you feel. And being assertive means that you will step up and be confident in what you're about to say. You will tell them in a respectful, nice way how you're feeling and not have any expectations of them to apologize or say anything back that's positive or that will help you in the moment. You are just getting it off your chest and feeling good about that and being able to walk away without feeling guilty about what you said, but feeling maybe relieved or just at least satisfied that you were able to share with them how you're feeling in the moment and know that it's definitely okay. Next question. Are you able to acknowledge and take responsibility for your own mistakes? Being assertive means being self-assured, self-confident, which means you need to be able to own up to your own mistakes and faults, accept that you took a wrong path, made an error, and learn from it, and move on. As simple as that. And I know that that doesn't sound simple, but it means that you need to, like I said, take responsibility for what you did and feel okay about that. And just know that everyone makes mistakes. Everyone goes down wrong paths. Everyone makes those wrong choices, and it's totally fine. It doesn't qualify you as a failure. And even if you do feel it does, it doesn't mean that's the end all be all. It just means that you get to try again. You get to try again. You get to learn from this whole experience, and you get to take those lessons and then try it again, or try it a different way, or go about it in a different way, or find the holes in whatever thing that you're trying to get done and find someone to help you with those things so that you're even better and stronger the next time. But, you want to be assertive, then you have to, own up to what you're doing and be okay with that, and not be, you might be a little embarrassed, but you want to just feel okay in that and know that that's the right thing to do, and that's what strong people do. So I encourage you to do that. Next question. Can you discuss your beliefs without judging those who don't agree with you? Not only do you need to be assertive in your own beliefs, but you need to be secure enough in your own stance that if someone else has different beliefs, it isn't going to affect you. You can agree to disagree and maybe learn why they think differently from you. It's fine if not everyone agrees with you, because it's not realistic that everyone will. And if they won't, even if they won't agree with you, it's kind of the flip side. So, you're able to tell people how you're feeling, and not get super defensive immediately or upset if someone doesn't accept what you're saying and what you're believing and your stance on something and how you're feeling. And I feel like happens a lot to me and a lot to people that are super passionate about things. They want to share what they're thinking, what they're believing, their research they've done, and then attack the other person when they're like, no, I don't believe that. No, I think of it this way. I have a different perspective. And it's like all of a sudden someone has a different perspective and they're immediately transformed into the enemy when that's not true. They just choose to think of it differently, or are thinking of it differently, and maybe just took a route that you haven't researched, you haven't taken the time, or maybe you did, and that's just not the way that you see it. That's not the way that you've experienced it, whatever it is. But the main point of this is that you need to be able to say what you want to say, express what you want to express, but not judge people when they decide they still don't want to agree with you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter even if you know without a shadow of a doubt that what you're saying is right and they're believing something that's totally wrong. You are not the judge and jury of everyone. Like, that's really hard to accept, and it's something that I have to continually tell myself all the time, because I'm like suddenly out there like, oh my gosh, why are they doing this, that, and the other, when it's like, no, I'm not the judge and jury. I'm not in charge here, and I just need to step back and realize that's not my job. They're going to do things that they want to do. You might find a way to nicely suggest for them to do something better or make a different choice, but it's still up to them to do what they feel is best, and that's fine. They will reap whatever repercussions or benefits of the choices that they make, and so will you. So please do not judge people that don't immediately agree with you. Next question. Can you speak confidently in groups? I feel like this is an obvious one. Like, being assertive, that gentle balance between being aggressive and passive, includes being able to voice your opinion out loud and feel confident in what you're saying despite what others may think. And I know this can be really tough for some people, but it's an important skill to conquer, and you can also gain more respect from being confident in who you are and what you say and how you believe. And so I just thought I would throw this in there because it's a good skill to learn, because whether your groups of people are hundreds, thousands, millions, or tens, 5, 3, 2 people, it doesn't matter. You still want to be able to have that assertive trait of being able to speak up in public and speak confidently and believe in what you're saying and not back down if someone decides to say something's different, or say that they don't believe you, or say that they don't agree with you, or they have a different perspective to think about it. Like, if you are so solid in your beliefs, that's fine. But if you do choose to think of it differently, be open-minded, be flexible, which I encourage you to do so, that's great as well. You just have to speak confidently and be like, okay, well, this is what I believe and based on this, but I am willing to be open-minded and think about that in a different way. Thank you so much for letting me know that. Just be able to speak confidently about how you feel, and do it in a group of people without feeling like you need to back down, without feeling like you need to adapt to whatever the most liked person or popular person in that group is. You know what I mean? Do you know what I'm talking about? Where if you are very shy or a people pleaser, and I know this firsthand, when someone is coming up with or sharing an idea or a belief that they have, and you know immediately that that's not the one that you share personally deep down in your soul and your heart and your mind, but you don't want to be the outlier, you don't want to be that outsider, so you just immediately agree with them just to keep the peace, so you don't have to deal with any conflicts, you don't have to deal with having to muster up confidence to share how you feel. Yeah, stop doing that, okay? I encourage you to stop doing that, because you need to stand firm in who you are and what you believe and how you feel and how you think, and be confident in that. And that's okay, because they're obviously confident in that, so there's no reason why you can't be confident in that. And if it's hard for you, you just have to slowly go along being more and more confident each and every day. So I just encourage you to do that. Next question. Are you comfortable delegating tasks to others? And I wouldn't single this out for only the work environment that this applies to. There will probably be times in your life where you need to tell family members, friends, people you are managing in a volunteer setting what they need to do and how to do it. And even moreover, you might need to correct them on something too. And giving feedback to someone is super tough, super tough. I even had this conversation recently with my husband, but it's necessary and can help build leadership skills and confidence. So you need to be able to delegate tasks. You need to be able to confidently ask someone to do something. If they don't know how to do it, tell them how to do it, or be able to share with them the reason why you're asking them to do it. If they decide to disagree with you or negate what you're saying or tell you they're not going to do it, you need to be able to confidently stand and say, hey, I need you to do this because of this reason. Please do it. And if they don't want to do it, you need to be able to assert whatever leadership that you have over them if that's the case, because you need to be strong in who you are. And if you are a leader, if you are managing them, if you are technically over them in the hierarchy of whatever the structure is that we're talking about, then you need to be confident in that and know that you're at that point for a reason. You're in that station for a reason. So you need to, I wouldn't be aggressive or bullying or anything like that, but just confidently tell them and be assertive. I need this done. Please get this done. I would really appreciate it. And the more that you do that, the more people are going to actually respect you, especially people that don't currently respect you. If you know for a shadow of a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, that some people at work or in volunteer groups or wherever, they don't respect you because maybe you know, like, here's some truth time. Maybe you know that you don't ever stand up for yourself and you don't ever ask anyone to do anything confidently. You don't ever act confident. Here is your chance. Start doing it. People may, like, just to be on the rail with you, people may not take you seriously in the beginning, but if you continue to do it more and more, they surely will, because they'll see a change and they'll see you actually tapping into that strength that's always been inside of you and being more confident and know that you mean business. So I encourage you to dig deep in that strength. Be confident, be assertive, ask them to do what needs to get done, and also work on giving people feedback if that's really hard for you. And believe me, it's super hard for me still. It's super hard for me to give people feedback because I want to encourage people and motivate them and tell them they're doing a great job. But also it is very necessary to give feedback, especially if you're in a place to do that, if that's like your realm to do that in whatever structure you're working in. Whether it's volunteer or actual work or whatever it is, like I said, it doesn't matter. You need to be able to give that in a nice, respectable way, but also assertive enough that they take you seriously and understand that you're not trying to drag them down on purpose. You're just trying to give constructive feedback. Here is the last question for you. Do you deal with conflict head on? Now, conflict is a tough thing, something I will probably speak on one day soon in a weekly series, but for right now, I want you to know that dealing with conflict straight on and not running away or avoiding it is strong and necessary. You can't avoid all your problems or issues. Plus, nothing will ever get solved if you don't, and you won't be able to learn from the experience. You need to access your inner strength and confidence and handle the struggle as soon as you can. I personally prefer to deal with conflicts in the moment if I can, but understand if breaks are needed to gather thoughts and perspective before going back to hash it out. And usually for me, a personal rule is I don't like to take more than 48 hours between trying to settle a conflict, because I feel like if you get farther and farther outside of that, people forget exactly what was said or what was discussed or any feelings that were hurt. And sometimes if you do it too soon, if you are actually with someone that might speak just doing things like on impulse and maybe say things they may regret, I understand that it's important to take time to really think it through, gain a different perspective, maybe do some more research on whatever the conflict or argument is about. Like, I get that, but I personally believe that it's a 48-hour window or less. So yeah, ask yourself. I think it's really important, and conflict is really, I feel like conflict used to be hard for me, but it's not. I actually enjoy conflict. Not that I like getting in arguments with anyone, but I enjoy the toughness, the mental toughness of being able to be calm, but also articulate exactly what you need to get across. I enjoy problem solving in general, so that if there are issues, trying to come on common ground, trying to figure out the best way to apologize, but also to let them know how they hurt you as well, or whatever it may be. I really enjoy problem solving, but I understand that a lot of people do not like to face conflict head on. They're not confrontational at all whatsoever. I get that, but if you want to practice being assertive, you got to be able to deal with it. You can't run away from it. You can't avoid it, because the more that you tuck under the rug, that's going to turn into a mountain that's under that rug. And if you have to deal with all of that head on at some point where it just becomes too much stuff to keep shoving under there, and you have to deal with it all at once, that's going to be super overwhelming and stressful. And that's not fun. That's not fun at all. So I would encourage you to try to handle it in the moment if you can. And if you find that either party, including yourself, is kind of hot-headed in the moment, or it would be best to have a cool down period in between, then do that. But again, I personally suggest not doing longer than 48 hours. But yeah, I encourage you just to do it then, because then you can just deal with it and move on, as opposed to something like hanging over your head. And plus, you can get back to whatever you need to get back to, especially if you have to continue working together with this group of people. So how did you do with these questions? I'd say that if you answered no to 2/3 of these, you may need to work a bit on being assertive, which is not a big deal. It's not a big deal at all. I just encourage you to take the time. Like I said, later in the week, we're going to talk about how to be assertive, and then comparing being aggressive, being a passive, being assertive, and then figuring out that amazing balance that there is by being assertive, having the best of both worlds of being aggressive and passive, but also just like what you need to do and how that can affect your everyday life. So again, stay tuned for the rest of the week. But yeah, and it's okay if you are not the best, most assertive person right now. That's fine. We've all been at a point where we weren't. I feel like I'm still at a point where I'm kind of not. And like I tell you, every time when I do research for the topics that I talk about, I learn so much and I gain so much different perspective and knowledge on the topic. And I'm learning and growing right along with you guys. So thank you so much for listening to the RealPositiveGirl podcast. My name is Sabrina. I hope that you really enjoyed this episode. And if you know someone else that would, I encourage you to share the episode or the show in general with them. I'd really super appreciate it. I encourage you to come check me out on Instagram, send me a DM. I was super excited because I actually got DM messages just yesterday from a couple people that started listening to the podcast, and I am super duper grateful for that. I will make sure to shout them out one episode this week. I don't have my phone on me, so I remember one girl's name was like Cassie, I believe, Cassi. So if you're listening, thank you so much for reaching out. You don't know how much it means to me, like genuinely amazing. And then there was another person that reached out, and I really appreciate them too, and I will shout them out in the next episode. But again, come visit me on Instagram. It's at Sabrina Joy Perozzo, and I'd really love to hear from you. Also, you can check out my website, which is sabrinajoy.com. Check the description box for notes for the show. Also, my email address is there to send me any questions, comments, concerns, or prayer requests that you may have. But thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you come back and listen to the rest of the episodes this week talking about assertiveness. But until next time, I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.